Margaret's going to come and read the scripture for us. Is this on, John? Use that mic.
The Gospel of John, chapter 5, verses 1 to 15. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem, by the sheep gate, a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first, after the stirring of the water, was made well of whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he already had been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your bed and walk." And immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked. And that day was the Sabbath. The Jews therefore said to him who was cured, "It is the Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your bed." He answered them, "He who made me well said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" Then they asked him, "Who is the man who said to you, 'Take up your bed and walk'?" But the one who was healed didn't know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, a multitude being in that place. Afterwards Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you." The man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had made him well. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Shepherd. Well, I'll put that little picture back in. I just want you to get into your mind, imagine being at this scene of Jesus healing the lame man by the pool of Bethesda. This is one of the miracles that John records, and it has a powerful message. And for some God-incident ways, he has had this message come to you today, and specifically to me. I'm preaching a message to myself, but I know it's to all of you. Because there are things in here that are very significant to me at this time in my life, and I know they are significant to you, because God has laid it on the hearts of many people for this message to come. So I hope you're expectant that God is going to speak to you individually. And I've entitled the message, "How do you live whilst waiting for your miracle?" Because many of us are waiting for some miracle, some fulfilment of a prophetic word, some change in our life that God has said is going to change, and it seems like it's taking forever to do it. But he is the God of perfect timing. But that's hard to hang on to when we're going through a trauma. You know that I like digging deep into passages of scripture and looking into the background, and I've just got some interesting thoughts that I want to get out of the way, because these help me realise what God was saying to me, and probably to you as well. Bethesda is the house of mercy. That's what it means. What's the house of mercy today? Or what should it be? The church should be the house of mercy. Not the house of judgment, not the house of condemnation, not the house of whatever we try to make it, but the house of mercy, where all can come and have an encounter with Jesus Christ. Regardless of their backgrounds, our desire is that everybody has an encounter with Jesus Christ. And they'll only find that if we are merciful to them, just as God has been merciful to us. Jesus came in through the sheep gate to this pool. It's a place where the sheep were brought into Jerusalem, normally for the sacrifice in the temple. And here's the Lamb of God coming in through the sheep gate on the Passover. It's not this particular Passover that Jesus is going to be crucified, but it's also the place that the sheep, which is you and I, come in to the house of mercy. And this sheep gate was constructed by a man called Eliashib, who was the high priest in Nehemiah's time, and all of his family. Just imagine this. The job of a priest, which includes all of us because we're all the priesthood of all believers, our job is to build a gate for people to come into the house of mercy. And Eliashib actually means the God of conversion. I love people's names and the way God puts things together. Here is a man, high priest at the time, building a gate for sheep to come in to meet the God of conversion. And there are 5 porches around this pool, mainly for the protection of the people that were there from the elements, particularly the beating down of the sun. But you know I love numbers. Oh, children. Children, are you listening for a minute? You have a job to do. Okay? As well as doing your word search and colouring in the picture about this story, I want you to pick up whenever I mention a number and write it on the back of your paper. And I'm going to test you at the end to see how many of you can remember all of the numbers that I say during this message. Okay? So the first number I'm mentioning is number 5. Okay? So write it on your back of paper and then just keep your ears open and you might pick up all the other ones. And I might even give somebody a little prize if they get the most numbers. So we'll find out. Okay, there are 5 porches. And 5 in Scripture is the number of gracious provision. The people were sitting under God's gracious provision. It's also represents the 5-fold ministry mentioned in Ephesians chapter 4. The ministry of the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors and the teachers. That is God's gracious provision to equip us to do the work that God has given us to do. So there are significant things there in that text which help us understand the role of the church is to provide a gate for people to come and meet the God of conversion, to be in a place of mercy, and to be effectively covered from the elements of the world around. That is the role of the church. And that's a picture painted here. Do you remember the picture I put up at the start? We have 3 chairs. And the question is, where is this man sitting? The lame man. Is he sitting in the chair of regret from whatever led him into being lame? We don't know whether he had sinned, whether he had done something wrong, or whether he'd had an accident that made him lame. I have a personal testimony which I'm going to come on to about my lameness and what caused that, and how I had to wait for a long time for God to heal it. Or was he sitting in the chair of the present, fully expectant that the angels would stir the water and he would get it? I don't think he was sitting there because he'd lost hope. And when Jesus said, "Do you want to be made well?" he didn't say yes. He gave excuses as to why he wasn't made well. Or was he sitting in the future, being afraid of what it would be like to live with his lameness for the rest of his life because he couldn't get into the water? You see, he knew that the angels stirred the water. He knew that people that got into the water would be healed. But he could have been sitting in any of those chairs and not actually receiving what he wanted. What he needed to be doing is sitting in the present, expectant that the presence of God would change him. And that's where we need to position ourselves, in the presence of God, to see, to get rid of the shame, and the regrets and the fear of the future, but to sit in the presence of God, believing that he will fulfill all that it is said. See, that man probably had fear that, and I've been there, so I know what it's like. He had fear that he would always be the same, and he would never enter his destiny. And if you're honest, many of you have had that fear at some time in your life. But God's word never returns to it unfulfilled. And we need to hang on to that. What's the next? I'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to talk about waiting for the church that I believe God has called me to here, and what I believe God has told me it's going to look like before I die or move on. Okay? I'm not planning to move on, don't get me wrong. You know, I had a very clear idea of the structure of this church and the way it would grow. And it's been on the old church website. I'm not sure whether it's on the new church website or not. But when I came down and met John Bowler, we had a similar heart and vision. And we just gelled, and I knew that God wanted me here. I knew he wanted an awful lot, but I couldn't tell John what those things were at the time, because it would have been undermining. But I never really thought about healing. I didn't even know the word was in the Bible. But there is a verse in the Bible, in Ezekiel 15:27, which says, "Then they came to Eden, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water." Exodus, sorry. What did I say? Ezekiel. Sorry. I'm getting my words mixed up. It's old age. Exodus 15:17. Now numbers always mean something to me. There is the number 12 and the number 70. There were 12 tribes of Israel. Moses appointed 70 elders to bring counsel and judgment to the people. He also appointed all the heads of the tribes. So he had 12 heads of the tribes, and who else had 12? And who else commissioned 70? Well, 72 actually. Jesus did, didn't he? Yeah? And what was their job? It was to actually give the people an encounter of God. One of the things that I've always felt that God called me to when I came here was, one, to rest by the water and the refreshing that God provided, but also to work with God to see a church established that had 12 disciples, elders, that included the fivefold ministry, okay, and to have 72 other disciples, the congregation, that would go out and bring to this community that we live in an encounter with God. We are not there yet. But to me, it was very clear that was 6 cell groups of 12, 72, with all the elders involved and the fivefold ministry being operational. That was my picture. That's what I believe that God has revealed to me as the biblical model for leadership and God's work in this place. And everybody is included in the leadership, because we are all going to lead people into an encounter with Jesus Christ. Amen? Amen. So this is what I'm waiting for. This is what I am working for. I'm not going to be limited by numbers. If God gives us 1,000, I don't mind. But I believe that God has laid down the structure to build on. And this is what I want to see. When I first took over from John, I think we had 10 elders, didn't we? We might have had 12. But I've cut it down to be realistic for the size of the church we are. But the end goal, for me, for my time here, is to see this established. Because then God will build on it. And this community will be changed. Because we will be living by the streams, by the pools of living waters, and we will be totally under God's cover. See, Moses was supported by Aaron and Miriam, wasn't he? And he had 12 tribes and 70 elders to assist in the work. And we know that Jesus also had. And I also have a vision as to what, I hate the word because we're not Anglican. We have a parish, and I actually believe it's that outer circle that stretches over to Gwithingham and to Zena that way and down to Crowless and Ludgeville, which I conveniently live in. And Hale and all the other things. That is the area I believe God wants us to impact. So, I'm just painting a picture which I think I've tried to convey before. But I want to freshen your grasp of the vision that God has for us as a church. And I'm still waiting for it. And I have been frustrated. I have sat in the present and thought, well, I wish I hadn't done that. In fact, I got onto the seat for the past and thought, well, I messed it up there, I've done this wrong, done that wrong, and you can have so many regrets. But if God's given me that vision, then the future is where I can have confidence in. But I fear the things that go wrong when we never get there. And we will get there. But every one of us lives in that tension, don't we? That, we think we're stopping it happening. We're ashamed of where we are. And will we ever get there? Yes, we will. We need to live in His presence. That's when we have confidence that God will fulfill His plans and His work. In Philippians 3, verse 13 and 14, Paul said, "Brothers, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind, straining forward to what is ahead, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for God, for which God has called me to heaven." We're pressing on, aren't we?
Yeah. Amen.
Well, I think some of us are. We are pressing on. I also, here's another number, kids. 38. The number 38 has incredible significance for me at this time. I'm going to explain why. But when God says a thing 3 times, then you know He's on your case, don't you? Paul said on Friday night that he was called into the ministry 38 years before he stepped into it. Can you imagine what it's like waiting for that to happen? I identify fully with Paul because God called me when I was saved into the ministry, and I went through a similar training as Paul had. He was in the prison service, and he was a nurse as well. He became a strategist. He's still very much has all the gifts of a person that can manage people well and teach them how to manage themselves well. And that's the same sort of thing that God has given to me. Is that change management skill. It's not the thing that you learn at Bible college. It's a thing that you learn in industry and you can apply. So I have a lot of identity and a lot of similarities with Paul. 38 years he waited. I waited 40. I had to do the Moses bit and wait for 40 years before I entered into what. But when you're waiting to enter into what God has for you, you can become frustrated. You can say, I can't ever see it happening. But you need to be in His presence at the present time. I was born with club feet. They were severely bent. My toes were up my heels like that. And after I was born, they put me in calipers and plaster ties and a broom handle between my legs like that to try and straighten them out. That was the treatment in those days. I screamed the house down. My mother put the pram at the bottom of the garden because she couldn't cope with the pain that I was in. My dad gave up, took a saw to the broom handle, took the stick out, And they were straight for about a year. Then my brother was born, and I was so jealous that he was getting all my mother's attention. I was only 1.5, but I went up to him, and my first introduction slapped him across the face in complete jealousy, and then effectively starved myself of all calcium, wouldn't drink milk, and my bones went soft and reverted to back where they were. There was a lot of rejection in there, even as a young person. And then I met Jesus when I was 17. All the time before that, I'd been carried everywhere. I've been in hospital for so many operations, it's unbelievable. I've had over more than 300 stitches in my body in various parts that they've taken out and tried to fiddle around with. There's staples in there, there's a plastic knee tendon, and all sorts of things. I'm robotic. I'm the bionic man. Well, I was. God might have dissolved them by now, because he can do that, can't he? And when I met Jesus when I was 17, I knew that God could heal. I knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, God could heal, and he would heal me at some point. But I lived with the shame of having to be carried everywhere and looked after and cared for. And my mum couldn't cope with me, because they had to give me so much attention, they used to farm me off to different people, and I felt more and more rejected. So all these things were putting me in the chair of shame and regret. And also, to some extent, the fear of living my life like this lame man that we're looking at today. 60 years later, I go to Bethel, and God straightens my feet out. I watch it just like that, and grow like that. So they're both the same length. They were always different lengths. Today, 2 years on, I've not had to have another cortisone injection for my bad arthritis as it was, and my foot is still straight and still longer and the same length. And here's the pictures. The line is how my foot used to look, my left foot, which was the worst one, badly deformed, and it was the length of the green one. But I watched that happen. Now, my right foot's still got a few problems, but God can deal with that. But I don't know how he straightened that foot out if the staples were still in there, because they were holding it in a certain. So I've always gone to sleep before this happened, holding my hand up saying, God, tonight, please take the staples out and straighten my foot out. You know, that's been my prayer most nights before God healed me. But you can lose heart when you're waiting for your miracle. But the only way to cope with it is to live in the present, in his presence, knowing that he will do what he's capable of doing. Because he's a good, good God. He is the healer. He is the saviour. He is the deliverer. He is the person that can change every circumstance. He is the provider. God is a great God. You see, I took part from the story of Mephibosheth in 2 Samuel 9:8, when David invited him to the king's table because he was Saul's grandson. And he was a lame man. He fell over when he was 5 years old, and he was lame in his old age. He wasn't healed, but one of the things that he had the beauty of was to sit at the king's table and feast with the king all the days of his life. I've always been able to be in his presence and feast with the king, even though I'm lame. I wasn't rejected. Under the Old Testament, people with any deformity never got into the tabernacle, never got into the temple. But God invites any of us who want to go and feast with him. We can go in. No matter what's wrong with us, we can go in. Hallelujah. See, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. We need to lift our eyes and see what God has promised he's going to do. So that's a bit about my journey with waiting a long time for my miracles. And I know you've probably been on the same thing. I just want to encourage you. If God has said it, it's going to happen. Our challenge is to stop in the present and enjoy his presence while it works out. Back to our lane map. Oh, those were my shoes. And they still look like the left-hand side today, straight. But because I always walked cockeyed, my left shoe was always bent over to the left quite badly. And I still have that pair of shoes at home, just as testimony to the fact that I've now walked in these shoes for 2 years and they're still straight. That's just a constant reminder to me. And another miracle. You'll all remember this picture. This was Tobias, who is now 2 years old. He had a punctured lung at birth. They put him in this incubator with all those pneumatic syringes, pumping different stuff on and all the monitors and what have you. And at the time we were summoned to the hospital expecting to say goodbye to him, which as grandparents is hard, but to watch your children suffer with that thought as well was really hard. But on our way to the hospital, we had the Bethel song, "I'm no longer a slave to fear, I am a child of God." We had that on, and it was as if God said, "You don't need to fear." And we just praised him. And when we got there, the team that turned up from Derriford, all the very highly qualified nurses said, "This one will live, he's fine." It was like angels had come. And they took him away to Derriford, and you wouldn't know today, the cheeky little monkey's a little brighter. I tried to cut his hair about a week ago, and his language developed incredibly within a very short space of time. It made me feel so bad. "Grandpa, no cut hair. Grandpa, no, please. He hardly ever uses the word please. "Please, no cut hair." Oh, yeah. It's got lungs today. It's got powerful lungs. They can scream and cry the place down. It hates having his haircut. I never got it finished. It's got half a haircut. It's all over the place, but it's better than it was. Yeah. So, just remember our little picture. Here we find our layman in this passage of scripture. And he's in a horde of other people of varying disease. They're blind, they're lame, they're paralysed. And all of them actually needed help to get into the pool. With those descriptions, the blind person would have needed to be led, the paralysed person would need to have been lowered, and the lame person would have needed help to get to the pool. So one assumes that there must have been people around to help them. But we have no account of this man having anybody to help him into the pool, because he says, "I can't get into the pool because there's nobody to help me." See, Jesus comes to, in this story, one person. There's a host of people around this pool. But he knows that this person, somehow he knows, because he's God, that this person has been waiting 38 years for his miracle. And on this particular day, God shows his mercy to this particular person. That should give us comfort, that God knows how long we've been waiting. He also knows how long we've got to wait. But he also knows that his word is going to be fulfilled. Amen. Amen? And I take great courage in that, because this man had waited for 38 years. Paul waited to come into ministry. Paul man waited 38 years to come into ministry. Guess how long Linda and I have been married? 38 years. See, I'm going to step in to something completely new. Because God has just confirmed his word 3 times. 3 times that he's going to bring about a change. This is the time. And it's not just about the current situation, it's about our life is about to change dramatically. We're going to pick up our bed and walk. And we're going to enjoy it. I listened to a man talking about this story. Did you know that the waters at this pool were stirred only from the day Jesus was born, according to his story, to the day that Jesus died? It's not in the Bible, it's in the history books. The angel, I believe, was the presence of Jesus. I believe the angel was the presence of Jesus. In fact, the guy made a silly little comment, and it can't be true. But he said he reckoned that Jesus walked past himself from the day he could walk and just did that in the water. And Mother would say, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just doing it." But I'm sure that's not true. But I think just the presence of Jesus is the angel of mercy, the angel of healing that came by this pool. It's strange that it happened from the day he was born to the day that he was crucified. But then he left the church to carry on that ministry. He left us to deal with sin. Amen? See, every person, whether they are physically, mentally, emotionally or spiritually sick, needs assistance to have an encounter with the presence of God. You know, many of us could get frustrated with our present situation that we withdraw from fellowship. We as a church need to encourage them into more fellowship, into the presence. We need to be active in enjoying the presence ourselves so that they can come in knowing that God is present. If we all sat back and just thought, "Oh, I'm just here because it's Sunday morning, I'm going to sing a song of praise and I'm going to listen to a word," that's just duty. That's not, "I'm here expecting God's going to do something." That's what he wants from us. This man needed somebody to bring the presence of Jesus to him, rather than just a belief that an angel is still in the water. He needed the presence of God. At this stage, it was Jesus who turned up, the very being of God in human flesh, the incarnate Godhead. You see, he was physically present at the pool, but mentally and emotionally, he was no doubt somewhere else. The man knew that he had nobody to get him into the waters, and he could not make it there himself. Well, I doubt that. I'm not going to do what I saw somebody else do. He could have laid on the edge of the pool and just rolled over, couldn't he? I saw a preacher actually demonstrate that when he hurt himself, so I'm not going to do it. But he made excuses when Jesus said, "Do you want to be well?" He says, "Oh, it's somebody else's fault because they're not there to help me get into the water." And let's be honest, we make excuses sometimes about why we're not in the place where God wants us to be. You know, it's somebody else's fault. No, it's not. He needed to do something. He needed to get somebody to put him by the edge of the water so that he could roll over. Or perhaps he needed to pester somebody to be there that would push him in the water when they... I'm just glad that Jesus turned up. You see, Jesus told him, once he'd given all his excuses, Jesus condemned him for his excuses as to why he had not been made well. Jesus said, "Get up and take your bed." Just like the story of the nobleman that we looked at last week, it required an action from the person who wanted the healing. It required an action of faith. That man needed to actually say, "Okay, I'm going to get up." He could have thought, "It's been like this for 38 years, I can't get up." But he had to act. And so often we have to act on God's word. We have to move in the direction that God has called us to move. We have to move towards what God has said is the future, rather than sitting still where we are, making excuses as to why it can't happen. He could have lain there and stuck with his lameness for years after if he didn't get up. And then all of his fears about his future of being destitute, continuously relying on other people, would have been fulfilled. None of you want to be stuck where you are. Well, I hope not. I hope you don't want to be stuck where you are. You need to believe what God has said. Believe what God will do. But it's a challenge. Because to some extent there is comfort in our current circumstances. Some people, he might have enjoyed all the attention he was getting from any family and friends he had. Carrying him here, carrying him there, being friends. I have to say that I loved the church when I was not able to get anywhere, because they took me everywhere. They put me on the back of their scooters, as they were in those days, in their little bubble cars. Those days, I'm glad they're gone. But the church was the only people that loved me and showed love. But I could have just lapped that up. But as soon as if I'd have been healed at that particular point, I wouldn't have had all that attention. You see, the rejection in me craved the attention. So I was stuck. But God has taken me out of that, thankfully. This man would have had to get up and he would have had to go to work. I doubt whether he actually had a house to live in, because he'd always been stuck by that pole for 38 years. See, when we've been in a situation for a long time, it's going to require a major change. And we need to be ready for that. And willing for it. Because the thought of the major change could put us off actually stepping into the future that God has for us. There are things that I'm thinking about at the moment. I think, oh, come on, how am I going to cope with that? How's God going to work that out? But He will. He will. You see, God will often ask us to do something which we would think is not the way I've seen God do it in the past. We have our own theories in our own minds as to how God is going to work and how God is going to sort things out. Don't we? So when God says to you, go down the front of the church and ask for prayer, there's that little bit of resistance in me, because I don't do anything that anybody else tells me to do. Even if it is God and there's a whisper in my ear, I'll say it's the devil, or it's just me. But if you're not used to going down to the front for prayer, then there's resistance. You know, it's like when you first raise hands. I saw this pastor the other day and said, when God told me to raise my hands, I did. That's that. Because it wasn't part of his church upbringing. He didn't do that sort of thing. Now he's all over the place. But, you know, Colin keeps on telling me to dance. It's not my thing. God will have me dance, I've no doubt, one day. And he is making me move during worship. He just hasn't got into dance yet. You see, we have our own little comfort things. You know, there was ecstatic dancing on Friday night. But people really enjoy the presence of God. It's not everybody that does that. And that's fine. But I've seen Steve and Pam dancing up on the island. So, if God tells you to dance, dance. You might look stupid, but who are you doing it for? Jesus. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about you. But we're so guarded about how we behave. See, this man met some opposition, didn't he? After he'd been healed, he's walking along with his bed under his arm. And the Pharisees, the religious elite of the day, you can't do that, that's work. Who said it's work? It's not work, he's just carrying his bed. You know, the Pharisees have carried the law to extremes. God says, rest on the Sabbath. They said, don't work. And then they made a whole list of what was classed as work, including carrying your bed. don't get to put a picture up there, which I thought was quite funny because God told me something earlier today. You see, God's elevator is that we go up and up and up and we don't stop. That is true. But the Pharisees would say, in Israel, none of this operates on the Sabbath. Because it is work to push the button. But you still have to walk all the way up the stairs. Which is work. How stupid can religion get? So, let me just say, be prepared. The enemy will throw all sorts of imaginations, doubts and fears at you. Recognize them as the work of the enemy. Stop in his presence and know that he is the good God. When we wait on the Lord, I love the fact that John has chosen that song this morning. When we wait upon the Lord, he will renew our strength. Or was it Mark that chose that song? It was Mark that chose that song. You see, God knew what the message was today. How do we wait for our miracle? How do we live and wait for our miracle? We wait in his presence. We wait on him. And our strength will be renewed and we shall enter what God has for us.